where you are in the world right now. You're back with me, Ita, and today I'm going to share with you 10 tips on how to improve your English. Some people have asked me in the past about how do I learn English, what do I do, or what I've been doing to help me improve my English. Obviously, I am not fluent at this point, but I guess I can communicate with people in English. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to improve your English, and maybe it's gonna be helpful in your journey of learning English. So let's just dive into it, shall we? Number 1, get yourself surrounded by English. What this means is to literally surround yourself with English. You can start by switching your phone or computer language to English. This is something that I did I guess 10 years ago when I had my first phone. I always set it to English because I've always loved English. Okay, that's a confession. I've always loved English, so I set my phone language to English. And that's something that you can do to help you to be accustomed to the language. Another thing that you can do is whenever you go to Google and look up for some stuff, you can always type it in English. By doing that, the things that you will get, all the results that you will get, they will be in English. That way, you'll get accustomed to the language. Also, whenever you go to the grocery stores and bring back some stuff from the grocery store, and there will be some kind of instructions on how to operate, on how to use the products. Try to read the instructions only in English and find out if you've actually understood the whole instructions. If you don't understand the whole instructions, you can always look it up on Google or try to use the Google Translate. With the advanced technology that we have, we can always just use our phone camera and just take some photos and translate it on Google Translate. It's so convenient. Well, we are living in 2020. Okay, next, number 2, don't be afraid of making mistakes and errors in English. This is very important because some people are discouraged when they're speaking English and making some errors, making some grammatical mistakes when they're speaking. It is completely fine. You're not a robot. Even robots make mistakes. Yeah, well, I don't really know because I don't have robots, but well, you're not a robot. You make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Like maybe right now I'm making some grammatical errors and not even realizing it because I'm so excited right now. And sometimes when I'm getting so excited about things, I start to lose control and not knowing what I'm saying. Just like now. Oh, by the way, if you've probably noticed, this is my friend. I would just call him Pingu. Actually, he had a name before, but I sort of forget his name, so I just call him Pingu. Anyway, yeah, this is my friend Pingu, and I always love to just hold him when I'm sleeping. Okay, so back to the number 2, don't be afraid of making mistakes and errors in English. This is very important. Don't be discouraged and don't be ashamed of your mistakes. Don't let destructive comments and criticism destroy you and ruin you because, well, some people just have nothing better to do but to judge people. I know there are some grammar Nazi on the internet, but just ignore them. But also accept constructive comments, constructive criticism from people, especially from native English speaker or advanced speakers of English. The point is, don't let destructive comments ruin you and make you stop learning and practicing English. Just keep going. Number 3, enjoy things that you love at the same time as you learn English. Doing something that you love at the same time as you learn English is gonna make you feel like you don't really learn anything. Well, what I mean is that you don't really feel like it's a duty. And you can do this by watching the things that you love. For example, if you love cooking, you can watch cooking videos in English. Just like I do, I love watching cooking videos and food videos. All things involving food. I always watch them on YouTube. Also, I love watching true crime, all things true crime. Well, obviously I'm not a psychopath, but well, I just enjoy watching and listening to things about true crime. I'm gonna recommend you some podcasts on Spotify if you love true crime. I listen to Case File podcast. They talk about true crime, and also I've been listening to Abroad in Japan. It's a podcast talking about life in Japan, talking about the culture, talking about all things Japan, and I love Japan. I've always wanted to go there, but I haven't had the chance to go there. Maybe one day. The great thing about podcasts is that you can listen to podcasts while you're doing household chores. Number 4, practice your reading aloud. What this means is to read things aloud. For example, if you have like a novel lying around, you can read the novel, but not only read it in silence, you can also read it aloud and let yourself hear the way you pronounce the words, and also judge yourself. Well, I judge myself all the time. I actually do this as well. I always try to practice my reading and my pronunciations at least 5 minutes, maybe not 5 minutes, at least 10 minutes a day. And yeah, by doing that, it actually really helps me with my pronunciations and my reading skills. You can also test your speed when you're reading articles or novels or texts, but you don't really have to read texts or articles or whatever really fast, but try to pick up the pace every time. You can also do this with song lyrics, so you're not only practicing your reading but also having fun listening and singing along to your favorite songs. Jump to number 5, we have learn the language by sentences and phrases. This is very important because I've seen a lot, I've seen some people do this. Some people learn English word by word. I think it's gonna be easier for you to learn English by phrases and sentences. For example, if you find a new word in articles or texts or novels, you can try to apply them in a sentence and try to get a better understanding about the whole context and the meaning of the sentence. And the next time you come across those words, you will immediately know what those words mean. Number 6, practice your pronunciations instead of your accent. In the beginning of your journey of learning language, learning English in this case, you don't really have to remove your accent entirely. For example, if you're like me, I'm from Indonesia. I know some people from Indonesia who have some really distinctive and unique accent when they're speaking English. If you have a unique accent, just be unique and be proud of it. You don't really have to remove the accent entirely. One thing that you have to prioritize more than your accent is your pronunciations, because speaking the language with the correct pronunciations is more important than to impress people with your accent. Even though, well, that's something that I'm doing right now. I really love British accent and I've been trying to acquire the accent, but obviously what I've been doing is just butchering the whole accent, but it's okay too. It's okay if you want to pick up another a certain accent along the way when you're probably a few steps ahead in your journey. But in the beginning of your journey of learning English, just stick and prioritize your pronunciations over your accent. Number 7, this is my favorite number. I love number 7. Okay, number 7, use apps and programs to learn English. I'm going to give you some recommendations of apps that you can use to help you improve your English. I personally use Elevate. You can download Elevate on App Store. You can also use Memrise, Duolingo. Duolingo. I know it's like a meme on the internet about if you use Duolingo, the Duolingo owl is gonna come to you and be like, "Hey, have you learned English today?" But meme aside, I think the app is quite useful. I've never personally used Duolingo. I think that the apps that I've used to learn English, no, I've never really used any apps to learn English, but I used some apps to learn Japanese before. I used Memrise, but this recently I installed Elevate to help me improve my reading, writing, pronunciations, not really pronunciations, but yeah, mostly reading, vocabularies, writing with Elevate. Also, there's abundance of videos on YouTube that you can watch for free from English teachers, like legit English teachers teaching English for completely free. Just try to type on YouTube and you will find many videos about how to learn English, how to improve your English. Just go on the internet, you'll find many resources. Number 8, practice your writing. This is also important if you want to test your writing or if you want to practice your spelling. You can do this by having this kind of book, like small notebook or the bigger ones. The point is you have to practice your writing, maybe every day. You can write your thoughts about things that you do over the weekend, about the weather, about BTS. If you love BTS, you can write things about BTS. I personally write diaries about how I love BTS, and it's kind of cringy, but I just love putting my thoughts into writing. You can also write down words that you don't know. Maybe if you find some new words on the internet or articles or novels, just like I do. I also write down new words in my book, just like this. Maybe you can't really see it. And also I recommend you to put some examples next to it so you will know the context and the meaning of the whole sentence to help you get a better understanding of the whole sentence. Number 9, join English discussions on the internet. Internet can be a scary place, but it can also be a place full of interesting stuff, and it's also a place where you can learn many things, and in this case you can learn English everywhere basically. Internet can be a great tool to help you in your journey of learning English. Speaking from experience, I actually don't even learn English from textbooks. I mostly learn English from Twitter and I used to be obsessed with this band called Avenged Sevenfold starting from that day in summer 2010 or summer 2009. I don't really remember the date and the year. I used to get really obsessed with them, and like I always watch their interviews on YouTube and stuff like that. Also, I used to join discussions on the internet, like in their websites. By joining discussions on the internet, you're allowing yourself to discover people's point of view on things, like people's perspectives on things. Probably if you're into BTS like I am, you can join the BTS fandom on Twitter. Also, I'm gonna recommend you an app, Reddit. There are some really interesting people on Reddit that post interesting discussions. Also, maybe if you are into fashion, you can join discussions about fashion and find out the latest fashion. If you're into, say, Harry Potter, you can join the Harry Potter fandom. Number 10 and the last, hear yourself speaking the language and let the world hear you. I think it's clear that the most effective ways of learning any language is just to dive fully into it and let the world hear you. You can start by letting your family and friends hear you speaking English. Probably you can also encourage them to speak English with you. I think they will be delighted unless you have some friends, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, unless you have some friends who will make fun of you and tell you that you are being so English. This is some kind of phenomenon that happens in Indonesia where people will shame others for speaking English, but don't let that get into you, okay? Just ignore them. Ignore those evil people. Because I've seen some people who are really great at writing the language, in this case English, but they struggle with spoken English, and this is because they don't practice the language in real time. You can tackle this by speaking the language. Just practice the language. Maybe if you're really not used to speaking English with people, you can start by speaking to yourself like I do. I talk to myself a lot. Like I talk to myself like right now. Well, I'm talking to myself right now. I mean, I'm talking to a camera, but there's no one here, so I'm just talking to myself. This is something that I do every day. Maybe it sounds creepy, but I actually find out that a lot of people do this. So I think it is also a great way to help you improve your English, especially your speaking skills. So there you have it, 10 tips on how to improve your English. But don't go anywhere, I'm going to give you a bonus on how to improve your English effectively. And that is to learn the language at your own pace. If you can't master the language in 1 or 2 months or a year, it is perfectly fine. You have all the time in the world to improve your English. Because let's face it, we are not Albert Einstein. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're not Albert Einstein, we are not geniuses. Unless you are, then congratulations. You have all the time in the world to be fluent in a language, and in this case, in English. Because learning a language is a journey of a lifetime. So take your time and have fun. So that's all for today. I hope this video is helpful and interesting enough for you to stick around until this time. I'm not even sure how many minutes I've been doing this. So that's it for today's video. I hope you liked this video and I hope it's informative. I hope it helps you in some ways, especially if you're learning English at the moment. If you like this video, please give it a like and see you next time. Bye!